I never thought I'd see my sister standing on my doorstep again, especially not like that. It was a Tuesday night, rainy and cold, one of those evenings where you just want to bury yourself under a blanket and forget the world exists. I had just come home from a long day at work, kicked off my shoes, and was halfway through reheating leftovers when someone knocked on the door. I wasn't expecting anyone, and for a moment, I just stared at the door, frozen. Something in me knew this wasn't going to be a pleasant surprise. I opened it, and there she was. Sarah, my older sister. The person I hadn't spoken to in over 6 years. She was soaking wet, rain dripping from her hair, mascara smudged under her eyes. She looked broken, not the smug, manipulative person I remembered growing up with. Her eyes were hollow, cheeks pale, shoulders hunched like she was carrying the weight of the world. And for a split second, I didn't recognize her at all. "Can I come in?" she asked, her voice barely more than a whisper. I didn't move. I just stood there, gripping the door handle like it was the only thing keeping me grounded. All those memories came flooding back at once. Her screaming at me when I was 16, accusing me of stealing money from Mom's purse. The way she twisted the truth so well, so easily, that even our mother believed her over me. How she made sure I was the one who had to leave. And now, here she was, asking to come into my home. Still, something in her eyes, maybe it was fear, maybe desperation, made me step aside. "Yeah," I said quietly. "Come in." She didn't say thank you. She didn't take off her wet shoes. She just walked in, left muddy footprints all over my entryway, and collapsed onto my couch like she was about to fall apart right there. I watched her for a moment from a distance, unsure what to say, unsure how to feel. After a few deep breaths, I finally managed, "What's going on?" Sarah looked up at me, her eyes red and glassy. It's my husband," she said, her voice trembling. "He threw me out. Said if I came back, he'd kill me." I blinked. My brain needed a second to catch up. "Wait, what?" Sarah covered her face with her hands and started crying. Loud, raw sobs that echoed off the walls of my tiny apartment. She told me she had been in an abusive relationship for years, and things had reached a breaking point. That he had gotten violent. That she had nowhere else to go. And suddenly, I didn't know what to feel. Horror? Pity? Anger? All of it, all at once. "You couldn't go to Mom's?" I asked carefully. "She lives closer, doesn't she?" Sarah shook her head. "She doesn't know." I didn't want her to worry, and I couldn't face her. I stared at her. The same woman who had once thrown me out of our childhood home without a shred of remorse. Who had lied to our mother's face just to get me gone. And now here she was, curled up on my couch, asking for shelter and understanding, things she never offered me. She must have sensed my hesitation, because she looked up at me again and said, "I know I don't deserve this. But please, just for a few days. I'm scared. I don't know where else to go." And I swear, in that moment, I saw the 16-year-old version of me in her eyes. The scared, overwhelmed, cast-out version of myself that nobody believed. And I didn't want anyone, to feel that way, not even her. So I nodded. "Okay, a few days," I said. "But that's it." She nodded quickly, like she was afraid I'd change my mind. "Thank you. Really, thank you." But even as I fetched her a towel and made up the guest bed, something inside me was already uneasy. Something didn't sit right. And I had no idea just how right that feeling was. Hey guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. There are plenty more exciting stories coming your way. The first night was awkward. I barely slept, and not because Sarah was noisy. She was quiet, eerily quiet. It was the kind of silence that hums with tension. The silence of two people trying to pretend the air isn't thick with unspoken things. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering how I ended up here. Again, cleaning up after Sarah's mess while she took shelter in my space, my life. Over the next couple of days, we barely interacted beyond polite small talk. She kept to the guest room most of the time, claiming she was on the phone with a lawyer or resting. I didn't press. Part of me didn't want to know more. Part of me still remembered what it was like to live under her thumb, how she could twist a story until you questioned your own sanity. But she looked so broken, so different from the confident, spiteful version of her I remembered. I caught her crying into her pillow one night and heard her muttering things like, "Why did I stay so long? And he always said I was nothing." For a moment, my heart softened. I started to wonder, had she really changed? Still, I kept my distance. I had spent too many years unlearning the damage she caused to fall back into that pattern. I didn't trust her, not fully. But I wasn't heartless. I let her stay. I gave her space. I made her tea once, left it by her door without saying anything. On the fourth day, everything shifted. I was leaving work late. My boss had asked me to stay and review some quarterly reports, and as I walked through the parking garage, a man stepped out from behind a car. Tall, pale, nervous-looking. I instinctively clutched my purse tighter, but then he said something that stopped me cold. "I'm John. I'm Sarah's husband." I froze. My heart pounded in my chest. This was him? The supposed abuser? I took a cautious step back. "What do you want?" I need to talk to you," he said, holding his hands up, palms open. "Please, just listen for a minute. You need to know the truth." Every instinct in me said to run, to call security, to walk away, but something about the way he spoke, the raw desperation in his voice, made me pause. So I listened. And what he told me flipped everything I thought I knew upside down. According to John, Sarah had been lying. Not just to me. To everyone. He said she had been seeing his best friend, Tom, behind his back. For months. There were security cameras in their home, installed with her knowledge, because Sarah once claimed someone had tried to break in. The footage now showed hours of Sarah and Tom alone in the house, kissing, touching, laughing like two people without a care in the world. "I confronted her," he said, voice shaking. I yelled. I told her to leave. But I never touched her. I swear to God, I never laid a hand on her. He said Sarah had stolen the flash drive containing the footage before storming out and then filed a domestic violence claim against him. He was facing charges. His reputation, his job, his life, it was all hanging in the balance. And the only proof that could save him was in Sarah's possession. He begged me not to lie, not to take his side, but to consider the facts. To remember who Sarah was. To recall what she had done to me. "Please," he said. "You know what she's like. You've lived it." I didn't answer right away. I didn't know what to say. Everything in me was torn. If what he said was true, then Sarah was once again weaponizing victimhood to destroy someone's life. But if he was lying, I'd be aiding an abuser. He handed me a small card with his lawyer's number, and then he walked away. And I just stood there, alone, shaking, wondering what the hell I had just walked into. I didn't sleep that night. My brain was spinning, replaying everything John had said. His words echoed in my mind. "You know what she's like. You've lived it." And he was right. I had lived it. Sarah had been manipulative since we were kids, always twisting stories, always the victim when things didn't go her way. But this? Accusing someone of abuse? Ruining someone's life with a lie? That was something else entirely. Still, I couldn't shake the fear that John might be the liar. I had no proof, only his word. And if I confronted Sarah, what would she do? What if she was in danger and I was just being paranoid? I knew I needed more than a gut feeling. So the next day, I paid close attention to everything. Sarah was out most of the afternoon. She said she had an appointment with a legal aid group. I waited until I was sure she was gone, then went into the guest room. I hesitated for a long moment before I started looking. I felt disgusting rifling through someone's things. Even if that someone was Sarah. But I needed to know. I searched her suitcase, her coat pockets, her purse. Nothing. Then I spotted her laptop on the small desk by the window. A flash drive was sticking out of the side. Heart pounding, I walked over and gently slid it out. I plugged it into my computer, my hands shaking. The files were dated and organized by room, living room cam, kitchen cam, bedroom cam. My stomach twisted. I clicked one at random, and what I saw made me recoil. Sarah and Tom, kissing on the couch, laughing, talking intimately. Not once, but in multiple videos at different times, in different outfits, on different days. This wasn't one mistake. It was a pattern. Then I found a video labeled argument_confrontation. I clicked. John was pacing the kitchen, visibly upset, but not violent. Sarah was screaming at him, throwing things. At one point, she slapped him across the face. He didn't retaliate. He walked away. My hands were cold. My chest felt tight. This wasn't just betrayal, it was calculated. Sarah had stolen the evidence of her affair and turned the tables. And now she was hiding in my apartment, pretending to be a victim while trying to destroy a man's life. I copied the files to a hidden folder on my laptop and returned the flash drive to her suitcase before she came home. That evening, I sat across from her at the kitchen table. I looked at the sister who had once forced me to leave my own home, who had now spun another web of lies and expected me to help cover it. She smiled at me as if nothing had happened, as if she hadn't tried to ruin my life once, and now someone else's. I didn't say anything. Not yet. But I had made up my mind. Tomorrow, I'd call John's lawyer. The next morning, I sent an email to the address John had given me. I attached a message that was short but direct. I've seen the footage. I have copies. I'm ready to help. Within hours, I received a call from his lawyer, a calm, professional woman named Dana. She thanked me for reaching out and asked if we could meet in person the next day to go over the details and verify the authenticity of the footage. I agreed, and we arranged to meet at a nearby office building where she worked. That entire evening, I avoided Sarah. I couldn't even look at her. She acted like everything was fine, lounging in my apartment, scrolling on her phone, ordering takeout, and occasionally sighing dramatically for effect. She still tried to play the part of the wronged woman, expecting sympathy I no longer had to give. That night, I locked my bedroom door. Not because I was scared of her physically, but because I was scared of what else she might lie about if she sensed the truth slipping through her fingers. The next day, I met Dana. She was kind, but methodical. She watched the footage carefully, took notes, asked follow-up questions about my history with Sarah, and explained the legal steps ahead. "I'm not asking you to lie," she said. "Just to tell the truth. You'd be surprised how rare that is." I gave her my statement, outlining Sarah's history of manipulation, her tendency to fabricate stories, and how I had come into possession of the flash drive. I handed over the copies I'd made. Dana looked me in the eye and said, "You've just changed the course of this case." The following week, the court hearing took place. Sarah left my apartment early that morning, claiming she had an important meeting with her attorney. I already knew what it really was, her attempt to press her false allegations in court. What she didn't know was that John's lawyer now had irrefutable evidence and multiple witnesses, including neighbors and colleagues, who had been willing to speak up about what they'd seen in the past few months, Sarah's frequent guests while John was at work. The late-night arguments, and even one neighbor who had overheard Sarah bragging on a phone call about getting rid of her husband the easy way. I didn't have to testify in the end. The video footage, paired with the witness statements, spoke for itself. The judge dismissed Sarah's case entirely. He went a step further, issuing a formal warning about false accusations and the damage they cause, both legally and emotionally. John was exonerated, and Sarah's credibility was left in shreds. I should have felt triumphant. But when I got the call from Dana telling me what happened, I didn't cheer. I just sat quietly on my couch, staring at the floor, because I knew what would come next. And I was right. That evening, around 9 p.m., the front door to my apartment burst open. Sarah stood there, wild-eyed and furious. Her voice cracked as she screamed at me. "You betrayed me. You think you're so righteous? You ruined my life." She threw her bag on the floor, marched toward me like she wanted to fight. I stood up slowly and calmly said, "Sarah, you lied. You tried to destroy someone who didn't deserve it. And I won't be part of that." That's when she said it. "You're dead to me." And she meant it. She stormed out and slammed the door so hard it shook the frame. I haven't seen her since. I didn't have time to process what had just happened before my phone rang. It was my mother. I stared at the screen, heart sinking, already guessing the tone of the conversation. "Still," I answered. "What the hell did you do to your sister?" She spat out before I could say a word. No greeting, no hesitation, just rage. "She called me in tears," she continued. "She told me you went behind her back, that you helped her abusive husband win in court. Do you even realize what you've done?" I took a slow breath. "Mom," Sarah lied. "She was the abusive one. I saw the video footage myself. I couldn't just sit back and let her destroy an innocent man's life." There was silence on the other end. And then, the most chilling part of the entire ordeal. "I don't care," my mother said flatly. "She's your sister. You're supposed to protect family, no matter what. You chose a stranger over blood. Don't ever call me again." And just like that, she hung up. I sat there, phone still pressed to my ear, listening to the cold static of the ended call. A strange numbness spread through me, part sadness, part freedom. I'd lost both of them in 1 week. But in a strange way, I felt lighter. A few days later, I got a thank you letter from John, handwritten, heartfelt. He included a photo of himself standing outside the courthouse, smiling for the first time in months. He'd filed for divorce, had secured a new apartment, and was planning to adopt a rescue dog. "I owe you more than I can say," the letter ended. "I've been thinking a lot about family since then. The one you're born into, and the one you choose. About the courage it takes to stand up, not just to strangers, but to the people who raised you. The ones who should have protected you, but didn't. I won't lie, some days are hard. I still hear my mom's voice in my head, accusing me. I still remember Sarah's face as she screamed that I was dead to her. There are quiet moments, late at night, when the grief creeps in. But there's also peace. For the first time in years, I'm not walking on eggshells. I'm not tiptoeing around a woman who lied and manipulated her way through life, dragging everyone down with her. I'm not begging my mother to see me, believe me, choose me for once. I'm rebuilding. Slowly, but surely. I've thrown myself into my work. I'm saving to travel, something I never let myself consider before. I've made new friends. Real ones. People who value honesty over obligation. I've started therapy, too. I'm learning that protecting your peace sometimes means walking away from those who share your blood. That doing what's right doesn't always feel good, but it's still worth doing. I don't know if Sarah or my mother will ever contact me again. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. But if they do, it will be on my terms. With boundaries. With truth. Because I've learned something that can't be unlearned. I am not responsible for someone else's lies. And no one, no matter how closely related, gets to rewrite the truth to serve their own comfort. The cost of doing the right thing was high. But the price of silence? That would have been higher. Thank you for standing with me through this. Here's to starting fresh, with a clear heart, and no regrets.